And I had an incident in that place where I woke up in the middle of the night and it was really fucking hot all of a sudden. And all I could hear were these little like little footsteps, something running around out in the sitting room part of the house, and then knocks, like knocking in the walls and stuff like that. And then I swear to God, I had this experience of feeling like something got in the bed with me. I could literally feel the pressure of the thing getting in the bed behind me. And it put its arms around me and started squeezing me. And I swear to God, it whispered in my ear. It went, "Don't move." Like that.
Really?
That was me, Paul.
Now the truth comes out.
I wish. Oh my God, that would have been so fucking classic. Hello and welcome to the very first inaugural episode of Chinwag with myself, Paul Giamatti, and my colleague, Dr. Stephen Asma, Professor Stephen Asma.
Indeed, sir. And what is a chinwag? Maybe
nicely said. Yeah.
Maybe we should at least tell people it's a chat. It's a conversation that may or may not go anywhere.
As if we were in a bar or having a nice dinner together, or we were stoned in our college dorm room.
That's right. The kind of conversation that's all over the map. It could be any crazy thing. That's what we're doing.
Because we're hammered, and then we're going to get in a fight, and then we're going to get in a fight, and we're going to get thrown out, and then that's it. And
every
things,
chinwag will end with
a violent confrontation. Hopefully. Actually, this week, starting off this first episode, we are going to be speaking with Academy Award-winning, the one and only, Academy Award-winning actor, writer, and musician, Mr. Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking about spooky tales and sort of ghost stories and psychics.
Yes, we're going to get into sort of personal encounters with the uncanny and the paranormal, with ghosts and indeed with psychics as well. So here we go. Talking to Mr. Billy Bob Thornton in 3, 2, 1.
Engage.
Nice. Our very special guest today, Mr. Billy Bob Thornton, a very talented Academy Award-winning actor and screenwriter, and out-of-sight musician.
In fact, he'll be touring the U.S. and Europe this summer with his band, the Boxmasters.
But we are about to go deep, real deep, with Billy Bob Thornton.
Hey, Paul.
Hey, man. Nice to see you. My buddy Steve, thanks for doing this, Billy. I really appreciate it. We worked on that JFK movie. And one of the things was we were in Dallas and we stayed in that hotel, which was one of the most haunted places in America, I think. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Remember this? Yeah.
I remember it very clearly, yeah.
You got to come check out this fucking room and make sure it's okay.
Right.
And I would go down there, and every time it was a really weird fucking room. And the room I was in was really weird. And I remembered that you have a kind of thing about ghosts, or you have a thing about hauntedness, or you have a thing about that to begin with anyway?
Yeah, kinda. I mean, I have... I'm not good with, and this has nothing to do with ghosts. People assume it is, but I'm not big on like old castle-y looking places with, those velvet chairs with the gold ornate stuff on them, and stuff like Louis the 14th with a set around. And I can't eat around stuff like that. I have some, phobias that prevent me from my culinary enterprises.
Oh, really? And it causes a food thing too. Like you don't want to. It just makes you unable to eat around them because of the anxiety.
Now I'm just creeped out around old stuff, but also ghosts. I'm more interested in ghosts. Don't creep me out exactly, unless they sort of surprise you or stick around for a while. And then I start to get.
Did you guys have an actual experience in this hotel where like something was eerie, like in the room?
I did because the feng shui was all off. Like it was like the door was 2 feet too far over, the windows were too fucking small and too high up. And I always think that really I buy the idea that like if there's a ghost in there, it can't get out because it can't find the fucking door and it can't find the fucking window. And I really buy it. And that place was really screwy. It was like everything was really weird. And I had an incident in that place where I woke up in the middle of the night and it was really fucking hot all of a sudden. And all I could hear were these little like little footsteps, something running around out in the sitting room part of the house, and then knocks, like knocking in the walls and stuff like that. And then I swear to God, I had this experience of feeling like something got in the bed with me. I could literally feel the pressure of the thing getting in the bed behind me. And it put its arms around me and started squeezing me. And I swear to God, it whispered in my ear. It went, "Don't move." Like that.
Really?
Yeah.
That was me, Paul.
Now the truth comes out.
Oh my God, that would have been so fucking classic. The classic thing is I got so scared, all I could manage to do was, and I would never do this in a movie. You would think you'd scream, and all I could do was this. I just started going, "Help, help." That kind of thing happens to people a lot. It's called sleep paralysis, I guess, which I don't really know a whole lot about.
Yeah, you can't, you have the feeling that something's on your chest and you're kind of halfway awake and halfway asleep. But there's some switch that like turns your body off. Even though your brain thinks a monster's chasing you, your body just sort of stays real still.
Weird.
Yeah.
And so it gives you that feeling that you're actually being chased by something.
That hotel for me was strange because like my room, or rooms, as you said, the main one I stayed in, the ceiling was really high. And I kind of like small spaces. I don't know. I just feel safer. I don't know what it is, but it had a really high ceiling. And like you said, the windows were in a weird position. And had those giant, heavy, old, creepy drapes.
Yeah.
So it looked haunted already.
Yeah.
And, but where the bed was, and then there's this big room, and to get to your door, you couldn't see your door because there was a long hallway.
Right.
From your door, you had to walk down this long hallway, and you turn left, and there's your room.
Yeah.
But it's your private hallway. Well, it seemed like a waste of space. It's just a long hallway. That's where I heard my stuff, was in that hallway. I would hear things at the door, and I would hear something walking and breathing down that hallway, and a sort of grumbling sound, like somebody muttering, like early Popeye.
That's fucking freaky.
Yeah, it was pretty weird.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. Like everything is off, and so literally, it's like if there's something in there, it's not going to be able to get out.
The feng shui.
Yeah, the feng shui's all fucked up, and and I also have a thing about if a mirror is in a weird fucking place, it's like if it's not somewhere where it's going to naturally reflect somebody, I'm like, that's a fucking, gateway for shit to jump back and forth. Yeah, I mean, it's like, that's really weird.
I just want to, meet some of these rascals, like aliens or ghosts or something. Because I've actually imagined myself sitting in the room, like I've seen a ghost. When you're at home a lot, you develop a rich fantasy life. But anyway, I imagine that there's like a guy sitting there. Yes. I mean, let's say it's like, George Washington or whoever it is.
Sure.
And then I just say, look, don't like knife me or anything. Can I just like talk to you a minute? And I actually imagined myself doing that, and I always want it. And I think maybe because I've had a lot of experiences with ghosts, and so have my wife, my daughter, my brother.
Okay.
But they're crazy things, and I feel somehow that I think if you let yourself go with it, that maybe it's easier because to let it in. Yeah.
No, that's interesting. And let me just ask you: have you literally had the experience of literally seeing a person who's there who's not there?
I have not.
Okay. But
I've only experienced sounds and voices, sounds, voices, and knowing somebody's walking up the stairs behind you, and you actually hear them walking up the stairs. My wife in our old house in Beverly Hills, it was built in 1925. It was a pretty crazy place. It was 13,000 square feet. So, I mean, you had a lot of room
for shit to get trapped in there.
Oh, and our housekeeper and my wife both saw this guy in the dining room there.
Really?
And my son and I both heard and had the same experience with a voice when we were at separate times, Yeah.
Most of the experiences I had have also been auditory. I've heard a voice. I've heard voices. No, I've never seen something. I felt like the presence and stuff, but I've heard voices. But I agree with you, because when I first moved out to Seattle, and I had a lot, and I had suddenly, and it was right after my father had died very young, very suddenly. And I had a lot of these crazy experiences, ghosts and weird precognitive things. I could tell what song was going to be on the radio, turn the radio on. The phone was about to ring. The phone would ring, and I'd know who was calling and stuff. And I think it's because I was very depressed. And I actually think my, whatever you call it, spirit or soul or something, was really open, because I just was so fucking like laid out by what had happened.
But is it possible that you guys are, I'll play the skeptic here, you guys are actors, and like maybe, creative people maybe are more imagination prone. Like it's not a delusion, but maybe you see the world through your imagination in a way that like the average accountant, is not. And then
maybe
there's like a separation between here's what I'm imagining and what's real, but sometimes there's like a slippage and these things get confused together. It still can be very meaningful, because maybe it's part of your psyche trying to tell you your other part of your mind something important, like, trade that car or whatever it was. Like, there could still be something meaningful in it, but maybe it's not really there.
Well, the thing is I can totally understand what you're saying, that Paul and I are both really good actors. But if it were just me having the experience, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But then my wife has the same thing.
Yeah.
My daughter has it. My son has it. And my son and I had exactly the same experience in the same house. I had it around 1 or 2 in the morning. And the next morning, he stayed out all night with a friend of his. This is when he was a teenager running all over Hollywood. And the next morning, he said to me, the weirdest thing happened to me. Exactly what happened to me in the same places, and the same voice happened to him the next morning.
Wow.
I had a similar, similar thing happened in my sister's house, where she had heard voices in this particular place at this particular time, and I didn't believe it. And she lived in this fucked up weird house with fucked up feng shui, and the doors were all in the wrong fucking place, and the mirrors were all in the wrong fucking place. And it was like, and I heard the same. Now, maybe I'm super suggestible, but I've had some incidents that are just seem too hard to refute, because they're
in Scotland, they have this idea that you could have second sight, which is like we call sixth sense, like you see ghosts or your precognition, and they think it does like run in families. They think that it might be something that you pass down, and that they think you're seeing, like the ghost is like a spirit double, like you have a spirit doppelganger who's always with you, and somebody who has second sight is able to like see them or hear them and know what they're about, and then they deliver information. But they think it runs in families.
Is it like a guardian angel almost too, or something?
I guess, and then sometimes it gets free and runs around.
Oh, wow. No shit, really? That's interesting.
What's the thing that happens where, like, I don't know a lot of these theories, but the thing where they say that like life is going on just over in this other plane right next to you all the time?
Yeah.
Or something like that, and that every now and then they poke their head in here or something like that.
Yeah,
so,
like a multiverse thing.
Like
yeah, like a multiverse, parallel universe kind of thing. Well, there's a whole theory that I'm going to talk right out my ass because I don't really know. I'm going to say that there's a whole theory like this, and I don't actually know what the fuck I'm talking about. But there is some idea that it's like deja vu, I think, too, that it's somehow something from the future slips through a crack and you see it.
Yes.
And then the
Right.
crack closes up again. But I had a dream once, and it was right before I woke up. And in the dream, I kept seeing a photograph, like a kind of 1940s headshot glam shot of an actress from the 40s. And the name kept coming to me, Eleanor Parker. Eleanor Parker. And I kept thinking, in the dream, I kept thinking, who the fuck is Eleanor Parker? I don't know Eleanor Parker. And I kept thinking, is this a real person or am I having a dream and this is a name coming to me? So I woke up and I went and I, fucking Googled Eleanor Parker. And yeah, she was an actress. Yeah. And she
Beautiful.
was beautiful and well-regarded actress and shit like that. And about 2 hours later, a buddy of mine who lives on the West Coast, I was in Cape Cod, writes to me, and he's a big old movie buff, and he writes to me and he says, "Oh, you ever seen this Robert Mitchum movie?" And I can't remember what the fuck it was called. Home is the Sailor, I think. And he said, "Oh, it's a great movie. You got to watch it. Bob Mitchum, out of sight in it. And Eleanor Parker's really fucking great in it." And I thought, and to me, that's more proof because it's so fucking random. Like, it doesn't matter. It's not like I imagined I was going to get attacked by a shark or something. You know what I mean? I've always been interested that people say that they dream in black and white. Like, there's some people dream in black and white. I don't believe that. Do they? I mean, it's like, I never dreamed in black and white. But
I don't know what I dream in.
Really?
Yeah, it's hard to say. They say that about like like DMT and certain kinds of psychotropic substances will actually feel more real than this or just regular life, because there must be something like that's activating the emotional system in the brain. Maybe black and white is just so like clarified values and the emotions or something.
Honestly, I don't know what I'm dreaming in.
Huh.
Do you remember your dreams?
I know the dreams. I remember dreams, not very often, though.
Really?
I rarely remember dreams, and when I do, they're usually like horrible dreams.
Yeah.
But I don't remember many good dreams. But
That's
it's funny because it's almost like a feeling. You're seeing things.
Yeah.
Or I'm seeing things. But like if you asked me right after I woke up from a dream, if you said, what color was the bus, I probably couldn't tell you.
That's interesting. I always think an interesting thing, when they do dreams in movies and stuff, it's rare you ever see somebody do it well because you can't capture that weird sense of like, because this is the thing I always think is weird. It's like, I'm both observing it, but I can see myself, but I can not see myself at the same time. I'm sort of like, it's almost like you have a double that's like, it's like you can see everything at once. You can see yourself, and you can never capture that on film. You just never will be able to do that.
Yeah, it's like you're the first person and the third person.
Yeah.
Have you ever had like the lucid dreaming thing? Have either of you guys done the lucid dreaming?
I never know exactly what that means. So you got to tell me. Yeah.
It means like you can kind of control yourself. Like you realize you're dreaming and you're like, I'm going to look at I remember reading all those Carlos Castaneda books and they were like, look at your hands in the dream, because if you look at your hands, that's the way you get like control in the dream world. And so I did that until I could look at my hands, and then it freaked me out, and then I stopped wanting to do that.
So you could actually control your dream.
Yeah.
More.
And so like guys who have PTSD will learn how to do this because they keep going back to some horrible trauma in the field. And then they learn like, okay, when I'm being pulled back there, I can move my dream over to some happy field of,
wow, really?
Of pleasantries. Yeah. So it helps them deal with the trauma, I think.
So it's a kind of therapy.
In part.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Well,
now I met Carlos Castaneda.
No.
Oh, really? No shit.
Really?
I did.
What was he like?
I did.
Yeah.
And he was just this little guy who, he didn't tell me anything profound. He was speaking to some people at an old friend of mine's house, and I was invited. I went over there. And, but I did talk to him alone in the kitchen at one point, and the only thing I remember him saying was he doesn't understand why people drink orange juice when they have a cold, because all you're doing is burning your throat and all this kind of stuff. I'm like,
That was some deep
All those
wisdom.
Castaneda.
He was laying some heavy shit on you,
right
man.
there.
Oh yeah, that's good thing.
Haven't
Yeah,
had
all
orange
that
juice since. Yeah.
all that peyote will turn you on to
Yeah,
that.
right.
Absolutely, deep insights. That's really funny. But hasn't he been revealed that like all of it was made up or something like that? Wasn't
That's
it
what
like,
I heard.
That's
yeah,
what I heard,
right.
too.
That it was
Yeah,
all
or
revealed.
some of
He
it
d-
was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
That's too
Indian
bad.
Don Juan was the shaman, and I don't know if he was made up or if it was just really, amplified. Like
I
it was
suppose,
exaggerated.
but if the guy's just going out and just tripping his balls off on stuff, and he's seeing all that and writing it down, what's the difference? I mean, in a way, it's
Yeah,
like,
right. Exactly.
you know what I mean? It's like, I
Yeah, pretty
suppose.
good book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Either
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's pretty interesting to me. I'll buy that shit for sure, absolutely. If you go trip your ass off like that and do that stuff, that's interesting. Though. I didn't know. So they use that dream theory as a kind of therapy now.
Yeah,
Wow.
definitely for soldiers who've been through the shit. It's a way of like reprogramming them because their dreams like are nightmarish, and if you can get them to have some control over it, then it's really helpful.
And they can hop over to something else.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fucking crazy.
A lot of my students want to do lucid dreaming, but I'm like, I don't even want to have that control. I want to relinquish control at night when I go to sleep. I don't want to fucking control stuff.
Yeah, I want to see what kind of crazy ass stuff comes up. Yeah.
I can think of a couple of things.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah. I'll tell you, actually, the flying thing. I had a flying dream not too long ago that I'd never had one of those before where people talk about they fly in dreams. It feels great.
it feels great. And I've only had it a couple of times. But
Me too.
I had a thing that it was a recurring thing for a period of a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then it kind of went away. I wish it'd come back. But I had the ability I couldn't fly. It's not like I started flapping my wings and I flew. I had the ability to jump up. I felt light as a balloon.
Yeah.
I could jump up and float around the house
Amazing.
and look down.
Amazing.
And or I could be out in the field. I could jump up and I could be up
Amazing.
where the trees and the birds are,
Amazing.
and I could see everything. But it didn't last. I after a while I would start to sink back down, and then I would jump again. But I was totally in control of getting off the ground and going
That's
up there.
cool.
I just couldn't fly.
That's really cool.
And then when I was a little kid, I had two recurring dreams, which are really disturbing. One of them, I think it was because when I was a kid, they had like the Red Scare, and all that kind of stuff. And it was during the, Cuban Missile Crisis, different things like when I was really small. And so maybe I just heard the adults talking, but I would, in this dream, all I did was jump up in the air, and I stayed in the air, but I was way up there. And then, those fighter jets that have the pointy, sharp thing on the, it's like a MiG or whatever.
It's like an
would
antenna
stab me
thing.
right, yeah, and it would stab me right through the middle, like through the solar plexus.
Wow.
Oh, Jesus.
But I didn't feel it because it stopped before it actually happened.
Wow.
It was a very short dream. And the other one I had that I had for years, and I've actually had in recent years, I walk into a giant factory. It looks like a sound stage, actually. Like if there were nothing on a sound stage, it was that kind of big, only the ceiling is even higher. And I walk in there, and there's a metal ladder that goes straight up to a catwalk, which is right up next to the roof, the catwalk. And nothing else was really in there. I walk in, I climb this ladder, which takes forever. And in the dream, and it was actually in real time,
Right.
But so I climb the ladder, I get up there, and I walk along the catwalk, and it's got the grating where you can still see through it. I know that I have to jump. And it's a concrete floor.
Yeah.
I know that I've got to jump.
Yeah.
There's nothing that can stop me from doing it.
Yeah.
So I jump, and I know I'm going to live. So I jump, and I hit the concrete floor, and my knees, like from my feet up to my knees, the shins and everything, it just hurts, like it's just blazing pain.
Right.
And then I turn, and I look back at the ladder, and I start climbing the ladder again, and I keep doing that.
Wow.
That's like
No
Sisyphus.
shit. Yeah.
So And then at some point, I either wake up or the dream dissolves or whatever. But yeah, I've
And
had it over
you've had that more recently.
since I was a kid,
Since you were
all
a
the
kid.
way to, but all the way up until I probably had it the last time, maybe a couple of years ago.
Really?
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah.
I don't think I've ever had that experience of something going on for that long. That's amazing. But always a pain in your legs and stuff.
Always,
Is it
always.
stress related? Like your real life is stressful, then you have
Yeah,
it, or no?
do you feel it at a certain time? Do you have it at a
Well,
certain time?
It's hard to tell because I'm always stressed. I mean, I have a terrible anxiety disorder. So, I mean, like honest to God, real anxiety disorder.
Jeez.
Yeah. No, listen, I feel like I'm developing one these days, but yeah.
So it's hard to tell with me, but I mean, it seemed to say something pretty simple to me.
Sure.
Which was, look, this ain't easy.
Stop.
You got a hill to climb.
Yeah.
And every now and then it's going to hurt, but you got to keep climbing that ladder. I mean, it sounds like something like the coach and Hoosiers would say, but you know what I mean? It's like,
no, totally. No, I mean, sometimes it seems like it's a pretty clear message being sent to you, you know, like, I don't know
what I think. I think dreams are doing that. Like they're basically things you need to hear about your real life. The dream comes in and gives you a kind of disguised version of it so you can take it in.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. And an interesting thing to that, talking about ghosts, is that I don't know about you, Billy, if you ever, or you, Steve, if you guys dream about dead people, if you dream about people, like I dream about, I don't dream often about my mother or my father who are both dead for a long time, but it's like every time they appear, I always think to myself, this is a ghost, actually. Now I'm seeing a ghost, and they've come into this realm of existence, and I'm seeing a ghost, and there's a reason I'm seeing them. I don't know why, or they're trying to tell me something, or so, because I have a kind of notion that dead people continue to evolve and change and exist wherever the hell they are. And that, and your relationship with them, this is crazy. I'm saying something really crazy, but in your relationship to them can continue to evolve, and that they're still growing somewhere. And so when you see them in your dreams, they're telling you something. It may not necessarily be clear what it is, but boy, I sound really crazy.
No, I've been the skeptic, and I'm like, I like this one. I'm like, yeah, I'm with you on this one. I lived in Cambodia for a while and in Thailand, and everybody thinks that in Cambodia and Thailand.
Oh, really?
That's not weird at all. Like, that's just absolutely part of the common, like, breathing the oxygen. It's everywhere. Trees are wrapped in like special cloths. Offerings are everywhere. They're looking to have dreams of their relatives. Like it's like what you just said, basically.
Yeah. Well, 99% of the people in Japan or something believe in ghosts. Some huge number of people believe in ghosts. That's pretty fucking cool.
I was over there. This has nothing whatsoever to do with ghosts.
Excellent.
Go for it. That's what this show's about.
Yeah, please.
It's just that when somebody says Cambodia, it's like, I've only been to Phoenix and Cambodia. But anyway, so it's like, well, I'm going to get my 2 cents worth. Anyways, I was in Cambodia a couple of times, and we went there to and I really felt something cool there. But we went up to the temple there at Angkor Wat, the top of the mountain there with the ruins of the temple there. And, it's a pretty great thing to be able to say you've done. It's like a cool thing. And so we took an elephant up this trail up the mountain, and I'm not, I got to say, motorcycles, hot rods, I'm good. I don't like to be on animals. And
I'm with you.
So, it just doesn't work for me. And because I figure if you're on a giant animal, why is it not going to kill you?
Exactly. That's exactly what I was just about to say. The fucking thing, why it doesn't, it wants to kill you for sure.
Yeah,
this is a shot. Yeah.
So we're going up on this elephant, and you're in the little basket thing. You're sitting in on the elephant. And it's this tiny little trail up this mountain, and to the left is like, it goes straight down into the jungly stuff, And so if this elephant falls, we're done. But, and there's this young Cambodian guy who is driving the elephant. He sits sort of like on its neck, and he's barefoot. He's got his feet on the ears, like paddling some kind of little boat thing. And he literally uses his feet to steer the elephant, this way or that way. And so we're going up this trail. Well, the kid knew how to make music with a leaf.
Uh-huh.
He picked a leaf off a thing and he puts it in his mouth and he starts this whistling sound and he plays a song with this leaf in his mouth, right? And anyway, he told us in broken English that the elephant hated it when he does his whistling leaf song. And so, sure enough, a couple minutes later, the elephant, and I'm not shitting you about this, a couple of minutes later, the elephant reaches up to a branch with his trunk, tears the branch off, and hits the kid in the head. And that is no joke. I got witnesses of that.
I'm sure. I'd buy it.
Oh, yeah, I
100%
totally
buy it.
believe that, yes.
They're super smart. They're super
elephants
smart,
are smart.
right? I'm not going to fuck with an elephant.
No way.
No, yeah.
There's an elephant in South Korea that it taught itself to say Korean words by folding its trunk into its mouth and making the noises. And they're like, it sounds like it's saying Korean. And that the theory is not that it knew what it was saying, but it knew that if it made these noises, it could bond with these, Korean people. Like the animals are really like sensitive to those kind of like emotional bonds. And it was trying to bond with them just like a dog does.
So it just figured out I can make sounds that sound like what these people. Is it saying anything? Is it saying anything real, or is it just saying
they're
fucking...
words? They're words, but it doesn't know what it's saying. Like it's saying the words as a way to connect to them, even though it doesn't know the meaning of the words.
It's like those sign language gorillas and shit like that.
Yeah.
In the meantime, that very elephant is going to watch this podcast and go, Steve, we're such a prick. I knew exactly what I was saying.
Totally. I know exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
Skeptical asshole did not understand.
In Korean, he's going to be telling everybody, the fucking guy on that podcast, his trunk in his fucking mouth. Absolutely. Holy shit.
Well, how did you like Angkor Wat? Sorry, Paul.
No.
It was great. Yeah, I went over there a couple of times, and it felt just. I felt good there. It was also my kind of weather. Like hot and humid. I like that.
Oh, you like that?
Yeah, well, because I grew up in the South.
I was going to say, is that what it was like?
I missed that. Yeah. So
Arkansas.
And the people were very friendly there, and. If I could ask you guys your opinion on two things about this. One's the ghost thing, which I'll get to. But the first one is, you mentioned Star Trek earlier. I love watching the old Star Trek. You can't help it. So, but here's my question. So what qualifies someone as an alien? Just made me laugh. First of all, these guys are from here. Shatner, those guys, but that evidently far into the future, they look just like us, only they wear tight clothes with a little emblem on it.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like, the history of where you were. Why don't you wear a shirt with big collars every now and then? And then the aliens, it's like they land on this planet and they run into these aliens who look just like the guys on the Enterprise, only they have a green thing above their eyebrow.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
They're blue and they have some fucking things on their heads. But it always bothered me that everybody spoke English. But even in the other ones as it went along, even in the the one with Patrick Stewart, and all, they still were pretty like human. They didn't really have them be anything all that weird.
Those are budgetary constraints, man. Those are budget constraints.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Where's the thing that looks like a praying mantis?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's the ones.
Although they did have some.
They did. They had the one where the fucking things fell off the ceiling. They looked like omelets, and they would fall on. One of them fell on Spock, and it they put some parasite in him, and they would just drop down on Leonard Nimoy. So occasionally they would do something. Yeah, but that's always that's always. But you never did any kind of Star Trek thing, did you?
No. I did Matlock. But
same thing.
Knots Landing, I did.
Did you really?
But one scene,
hey,
like the friendly rancher or something. So this was early on in their career.
Sure. But, that sounds awesome.
But I never did any kind of science fiction movie. I did a creepy in the '80s. I did a movie called Chopper Chicks in Zombie Town. It was a zombie movie.
Really?
That actually, it's like one of those trauma films.
Sure.
And it actually kind of became a cult classic.
Sure.
And everything. I was in at Cannes for the film festival for some man who wasn't there.
Did Chopper Chicks play at Cannes? Were you there?
Of course.
Chopper Chicks?
Yeah.
Sure.
It was in a very special category. But anyway, I was there and I did this talk with Roger Ebert where he was the moderator of the audience, right?
Yeah.
Roger was always very cool to me and stuff. And usually if you thought something of mine was shitty, I agreed with him, you know. But anyways, we were doing this talk and he said, by the way, I have something for you that one of the fans brought. Now, mind you, at the time when we did Chopper Chicks in Zombie Town, I'm like the 12th person on the call sheet, right? Or maybe lower. And I was in the whole movie, but I still wasn't. I mean, there were like eight girls who were biker chicks who were way ahead of me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And so I'm not even mentioned when the movie comes out. But anyway, then Roger says, I got you a gift. One of the fans brought it and I've signed it to you. So he hands me a DVD of Chopper Chicks in Zombie Town, which now has nothing but my face on it.
Right.
And it says Academy Award winner, Billy Bob Thornton, Chopper Chicks in Zombie Town.
Awesome.
Isn't that amazing?
That's fantastic. Of course, man. Was it an actual trauma movie? Was it a trauma movie?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Yeah. Oh man, that's so great. Who did you play in Chopper Chicks?
I don't remember my name.
I was going to say, do you remember? Yeah. I
played the husband, the estranged husband of the lead biker girl, whose name was Jamie Rose. She was on a red-haired girl, curly red hair. She was on a cop show called Lady Blue that used to play, I think, in the 80s or something. She was the lead. And the guy who was in the costume of Howard the Duck.
Oh, wow. Really?
A little person. Yeah. And Martha Quinn, MTV.
The MTV video?
DJ.
Wow.
Yeah, she
making a cameo and doing a whole, wow.
Yeah.
Was that before she was on MTV or is that
No, she was already on MTV. Yeah.
Wow, so they got her to be in that.
She was the star.
I was going to say, that's a big catch. That's a big catch. And at one time, I'm sure it was her face on the fucking box. And it said Martha Quinn, MTV. What was the other thing you were going to ask us? You said you had two things.
The other
Star
thing
Trek
is about ghosts and their attire. Now, in real life, like I said, I've only heard them. I haven't seen them. But in movies and on TV shows, you got the kind who you don't see, who just like you felt the pressure on the bed and whatever, and the one that comes in and makes love to you in the middle of the night, but you never see them. You feel it.
Yeah, the succubus.
And right.
Yeah.
So you got that. Now you got the just sort of like shimmering blob,
Sure.
and then and then you got you got the guys who were just in the clothes they died in. And it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, so if Benjamin Franklin does come around, he's wearing the whole thing, the waistcoat and the thing, and he's got his glasses on.
Yes.
And it's like, well, how does that happen? I mean, but when you come back, you're in your clothing.
Right.
And then you got the woman who changes into a white dress, I guess, when she dies.
Yeah, right.
So,
right. Like Benjamin Franklin happens to be dressed exactly like you expect Benjamin Franklin to be dressed.
Yeah.
No, if there are ghosts, they've got to be shimmering blobs. That is what I think.
I definitely buy the shimmering blob thing for sure. Right. I don't know if I've ever seen a shimmering blob, but I definitely I'm going to keep my eyes peeled for a shimmering blob. No, you never see like a naked ghost. Nobody ever talks about a ghost being naked, but I'm sure that why wouldn't they be if they're coming right out of the tomb and shit?
Exactly. I mean, after the autopsy, did they go get dressed?
Right. I wonder if anybody sees a guy. Well, I mean, you hear about people walking around holding their own head and stuff like that, like if they had their head cut off. But I never buy that kind of ghost. I'm always sort of like, I don't think I buy the guy who walks down the hallway every night with the head holding his head and stuff like that. A shimmering blob.
With you. Shimmering blob.
A shimmering blob, on the other hand. I think shimmering blob is going to be my memoir title. That's going to be either that or my band name. I think that shimmering blob. Fantastic.
Shimmering Blob is a good band name.
It's a really good band name. Fantastic, man. Well, thanks, Billy Bob. This was amazing.
Hey, thank you guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
And if I've offended either of you guys or anyone else, I apologize.
You have not.
I just have to speak from my heart about
absolutely. Listen, you can't offend me. It's almost impossible to offend me. So I'm not a good gauge. I don't know. We'll have to check it and see if anybody else got offended. But anyway, man, I appreciate it so much. Thanks, Billy Bob.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Well, thanks for spending time with us, friends. Steve, what did we learn this week? I learned that an elephant, if I stuff my trunk in my mouth, I'll be able to speak Korean. No, I'm not sure. I learned, what did we learn, Steve?
Here's what we learned. We learned that you must set up your house with some good feng shui or the ghosts will get stuck inside your house. Particularly
mirrors. Don't fuck around with mirrors because that's a portal to the other world. You're laughing and I'm dead fucking serious and you're laughing at me, but I'm serious. And what else? We learned that shimmering blob is a category of ghost, yes. and falling omelet is a category of alien. I think that's it.
That's all we can hope to learn.
It really is. Lessons for life. And of course, if you like what we're doing, and even if you don't, especially if you don't, I like a little dust up. I like to get into it with you people.
There you go.
Follow us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and TikTok.
Any weird topics you have and you want us to tackle those, please write us. questions@chinwagpod.fm or find us on Instagram or TikTok @chinwagpod or on Twitter @chinwag_pod. That's chinwag_pod. And if it's strange enough, then maybe we're going to answer it on this very podcast. Chinwag is a production of Treefort Media and Touchy Feely Films. Hosted and executive produced by Paul Giamatti and Stephen Asma. Executive producers for Treefort are Kelly Garner and Lisa Ammerman. Touchy Feely Films executive producer is Dan Carey. Our series producer is Rachel Whitley Bernstein. Original theme music by Via Mardot. Oscar Guido is our executive in charge of production. Tom Monahan is head of audio for Treefort. Animations created by Alex Sokol. Audio production supervision and editing by Maxwell Carney. Additional audio assistance and mixing from Abby Sullivan and Matt Dyson. Video editing by Brian Barczewski, with additional production management from Renee Levesque. Lastly, for more information, go to chinwagpod.fm and find us on Instagram or TikTok @chinwagpod or on Twitter @chinwag_pod.